Okay, so let's go to our base layer and colorize that. So I'm going to go to my color and I'll pick this orange color. Now I'll go to edit, fill. With my base layer active, I'll choose foreground color, which is my gold color. And now we see how these colors would work in the background. So let's move, this changes from hue and changes to something else. Exclusion. And we could always add like an effect. I could double click here and I could add like a little drop shadow. So give it like this dimension and move around like that. Look how that shadow interacts with this blending mode. Looks like a neon glow. So we could be here for hours just playing around with this, but we get an idea of how the blending modes interact with the layers below the image. Now let's bring in some other elements here to make it interesting. So I'm going to go to File, Open, and I have a folder in my desktop called Elements, and I'm going to bring some elements in. I have this fire, hold on the Command key, I'll bring this, I'll bring this effect, and I'll bring this effect. Okay, so I'm going to bring these layers over. So I'm going to hold down the Control key, duplicate layer, and I'll send it over to Photo Girl. And I'll close that. I'll send this layer, Photo Girl, close that. This one's going over also. And I'll take this one as well. So I have all these layers piled into my Photo Girl layer. Interesting stack. And everything's covering each other because we don't know what's underneath it unless we do our adjustments, our blending modes. So let's do this. Let's turn off our shapes. And let's add blending modes to our elements. I'll zoom out. Okay, I'll Command T, make my layer a little smaller, like that. Press return, and I'll do it to this one, turn off the eyeball. Command T, shrink it down, bring that there. And let's add some blending modes. So I'm going to add a lighten blending mode, and look how this flame interacts with the ice image below. And since she's on a layer, I could bring her up so she is underneath. Okay, I'll click this one and I'll give this one a blending mode. Multiply. Look at that. What would happen if we bring this one in front and give this a blending mode too? We're scrubbing through them until we find something interesting. Okay, so we turn this off. Now it looks like the texture is following the outline of her. Now let's get to a layer mask now. I'm going to click on the girl and give her a layer mask. And I'm going to click on my gradient tool, and we have our black gradating into transparent. If you click on the bar, you would see you have foreground and background. Background is transparent. You know it's transparent because you see these checker boxes. Let's click OK and make sure it's a linear gradient, which is the first one. And if you click from the bottom and drag up, looks like she's fading off into nothing. Let's drag her above. And look at that. We have her fading away into nothing. We have this ring of fire around her, which is underneath. And we have this flame on top. So we could play around with different textures. Let's make this one soft light or overlay. So now I have like an overlay texture on top of her as she fades to nothing. So we can juxtapose our layers to create a unique effect. Okay, so let's save our file. We'll move on to the final part of this lesson.